What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Good evening, everybody. I am your host, and I am also known as Love Coach Scott Katamas. Welcome to the Awakening World. Every weekend, we do 3 shows. This is all brought to you by the Global Peace Tribe. And I also want to thank the Sign Network, that's S-I-N-E, that put us out to up to 100 Facebook groups and pages. Thank you, John and Summer Raymer, for that. I also want to thank Alan Steinfeld for putting us out on his YouTube channel. And welcome to anybody watching us on our brand new broadcast partner starting tonight. The Conscious Awakening Network is now going to be carrying all of our shows. So if you're watching on any of these different broadcast groups, welcome. And I want to invite you to come on into our Zoom room. We're going to have a lot of interactive opportunities to talk to filmmakers and the founders and people who run the Illuminate Film Festival. That's what tonight's all about. We're celebrating this incredible festival that brings the best movies that raise our consciousness, perfect for the awakening world. And in fact, the people that we have with us include Danette Wolpert, who's the executive director of the Illuminate Film Festival, and we have a lot to hear from her, and her senior program director, Andrew Stoneham. Welcome, Andrew. And 2 of the filmmakers are with us. Dana Croschere, whose beautiful movie, Love Heals, we'll be able to remember the title of it when we're looking at her, is with us. And then coming all the way from the bush of Australia, we've got Bill Bennett, the director of Facing Fear. And because it's Saturday night, we always have great music. And of course, we have our house musical artist, Omashar, with us. And one of my dearest friends in the world, who's also an amazing artist, Destiny Love, is with us. So this is who you're going to be spending your evening with, as well as all the people in the audience. And if you want to come into the Zoom room, it's really easy to do that. Just go to globalpeacetribe.com, globalpeacetribe.com, and register. And when you register, you're going to get the links to all of our shows for the rest of the year. As I said, we do shows Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday morning. And then we do special events. We do a lot of special experiences. So this is a wonderful opportunity for you to become part of the Global Peace Tribe. And this is a beautiful community of people. We just had a retreat last weekend in Sedona. That was life transforming for a lot of the people that I'm seeing in gallery view right now. So come join us, be part of the tribe. All right, I am really excited to be part of the Illuminate Film Festival. This is the 2nd year that I've worked with you, Danette. And this year I'm getting to be a little bit more involved. I'm moderating some panels, and we're doing the big event on November 7th. But I'd love to just start by thanking you, because putting together a festival like this it's an extraordinary act of love. It's a lot of work. It's not a high-paying situation. And I know that you put a lot into this. And so I just want to take a minute for all of us to appreciate keeping movies like this alive, giving them a voice, because it's hard for movies like this to get made. And often it's even harder for movies like this to be seen. And so thank you very, very much for what you do. And just to share with people a little bit more about her, she spent 10 years in film production, programming, festival management. She's the recipient of the National Association for Women Business Owners, the 2016 Visionary Award for Entrepreneurial Excellence. And boy, it probably takes that to pull off a movie festival like this, especially when the pandemic hit. And when the pandemic hit, she got creative. She took what had always been an in-person in Sedona festival, made it online, had a great success last year. And now this year it's a hybrid. You've got a festival happening in Sedona and also online. So with that, I'm going to remove myself and let you tell our audience a little bit about this year's festival.
Well, thanks so much, Scott. And I want to return the favor and just give the Global Peace Tribe and you, Scott, just so much love and gratitude because, first of all, what you're doing, to elevate consciousness in the world is just fantastic. And all the shows you did through the pandemic, you kept us going, you kept us united, you kept us together, and you kept us full of love. So thank you. And also for your support of Illuminate. Because it really does take a village. Illuminate is, my baby. I founded it in 2014 because I was really searching for my own purpose, and it brought me to Illuminate in the sense that, I started out in engineering and IT, and I knew that wasn't, where my heart was leading me. And I went into film because I felt that this was a vehicle that could truly communicate what the world needs, right? To elevate and bring higher consciousness, right, into global awareness. And I spent some years in film festivals in other places, but I really just wanted to focus on conscious cinema. And I really thought, is the world really ready? Is the film industry ready? Is, are we ready to start something that's going to spearhead, right, this whole global conscious movement? And so Illuminate was born, and we recruited volunteers basically to make it all happen in about 9 months. And that was way back in 2014. And since then, it has been something that the universe has really made possible by bringing all of these incredible filmmakers together, all of these industry people. So, we have, folks coming from New York, LA, and LA, producers, distributors, financiers, film marketing companies, film publicists that are all interested in the conscious film movement. And this is the only place thus far where those folks can come together to figure out how to expand the quality, quantity, and accessibility of these incredible consciousness paradigm shifting stories. So this is our 8th installment, and it is fabulous. I think it might be our strongest lineup ever. And
Wow.
And honestly, you cannot walk away from this festival without feeling the magic that these filmmakers are creating for all of us. And what I love about Illuminate is when you come in, you watch the films, and you watch the films in a group. So communal movie watching is really, really a transformational experience. And so not only are we, of course, trying to get everybody back into the theaters after the pandemic, but we're also encouraging people who are watching the movies from home, because now everybody loves their comfy couch, right? they can have a watch party, and either a watch party in their living room or a watch party with hundreds of people across the globe. And that's why when we even do our virtual, we do it in watch party format. So in fact, you can even communicate with other people across the world while you're watching the film. So you feel like you're really part of the change and part of the community. So, that's a little bit about Illuminate. We look at usually about 500 films a year. We pick the top films. This year, we've even been more selective. We chose 11. Sometimes we've chosen up to 30. But we really wanted to kind of focus on the strongest and then give them the biggest platform and give them the biggest boost. So these are brand new films. You will not be able to see them in the theaters yet. You will not be able to see them on Netflix or iTunes or anywhere else. This is usually your first stop in the best conscious movies of the year.
Wow. I love both things that you said that really stood out for me, because I love movies, and there is nothing like being in a theater and the lights go down and you have an experience, right? But not only is it an experience like we get in the movies, but it's a consciousness raising experience. So to be in community while our hearts are opening and our consciousness is rising, and again, we are awakening together, is such a beautiful experience. And I really appreciate how you've kept both, that we can come into the movie theater, we can come to Sedona and do that, or you've come up with such a creative way that we can be on our comfy couch, as you like to put it, and still connecting with others while we're watching Love Heals or Facing Fear or AMMA's Way. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful.
And one thing that we've really added to the movie experience is something called Real Healings. That's REEL healings. And the whole idea of Real Healings are that after we watch a film, especially a conscious film, we really want the chance and the time to integrate it. Because how many of you right out there used to go to the movie theater and you watch this incredibly inspirational film and it just inspired you to change something in your life. And then by the time you were out in the parking lot, right, your kids were fighting, you got a phone call, someone's, you got to get dinner on the table, and you've just kind of forgotten, right?
Yeah.
Inspiring experience. Well, a real healing is usually a 15 to 20 minute experience right after the movie that helps you integrate the message of that movie. So for example, if it's a meditation movie, then for the 20 minutes afterwards, we're going to bring a world-class meditation teacher to come in and we're going to do a meditation together. If it's about art, we're actually going to even do some art. If it's about energy healing, we're going to do that. So really, we want these films to live with you for as long as possible, so it can really become a part of you in your life.
That's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Well, we're going to meet some of your filmmakers and Andrew in a moment, but it is Saturday night, and I've done over 500 shows since the start of the pandemic, because I've been doing 3 every weekend for 2.5 years now. And Saturday night, we always have wonderful music. So we're going to come back to the Illuminate Film Festival in just a few minutes, but I want to introduce one of my favorite human beings on the planet. This is Destiny Love. And I first met her back when I was traveling and teaching in Louisville, Kentucky. And one of my favorite things about Destiny is that she brought her mother and her grandmother to my workshop. I had 3 generations all learning compassionate communication. And we've been friends forever. I had the honor of officiating her wedding, but that's my personal relationship with her. What's even more important is she's a wonderful artist. She's an author, she's a recording artist, and she's an artist as a mother. She's a wonderful mother of 2 children. Her 2 books are called Womb Codes for Spiritual Intimacy and Living as a Vessel. She's a voice teacher, and I'm just so grateful to have you with us, Destiny. Thank you so much for coming in and joining us tonight.
Thank you so much, Scott. It's such an honor to be here with each of you.
What do you have for us tonight?
So I've just released 2 new songs this month, and so I'm going to share them with you live tonight.
All right.
I let the burden go. It's falling off my shoulder. I'm calling in my soul, so I can let the burden go. I'm lightening my load. I'm going with the flow now, guided by the Buddha realm. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. My new life has begun. This realm is rising up. It's time to let it go now, for the benefit of all. I will share this sacred call. Oh, my life is my song. My thoughts are my reality. My song is my life. So we'll sing and be happy. Yeah, we'll sing and be happy. Yeah, yeah. We'll sing and be happy. We'll sing and be happy. Yeah, yeah. We'll sing and be happy. We'll sing it from the motherland. We'll sing it for all her children. We are birthing now. We are birthing, we're in the birth canal. All contractions are softening as I give my praises up to you. Oh, my life is my song. My thoughts are my reality. My song is my life. So I'll sing and be happy. I let the burden go. It's falling off my shoulders. I'm calling in my soul, so I can let the burden go.
I'm going to go to gallery view. Let's all give some twinkles to Destiny. That was just beautiful. Just beautiful. Wow. Thank you. And I just want to remind people that we can get Destiny's music by going to her website. Of course, I put it in the chat box, but for those of you on Facebook watching. She's at DestinyMarieLove.com, DestinyMarieLove.com, and that's where you can see her songs. And you're going to be doing one per month, yeah?
Yeah, or two, one or two.
One or two a month. And so she's going to do two songs for us tonight, one now, one in a little while. Tell us about One Book Now and One Book Later. Tell us about womb codes for spiritual intimacy.
I just released this book, Womb Codes for Spiritual Intimacy. Really, I wrote it for my husband so he could learn how to modulate to my cycle each month. And so the book has different Tantra practices and rituals, and also just guidelines of how to be in relationship with a woman who has a monthly menstrual cycle. And
wow,
and
that's a valuable thing. Good job, Destiny. Wow, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for being with us. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you.
I'm so grateful for you. And so that song that I just released this song that I played 3 days ago. So you can find it on anywhere that you stream music.
Okay, Bandcamp and Spotify and all the regulars.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Well, we'll be back with you in about 45 minutes.
Thank you. Great.
Absolutely. All right. Wow. Danette, I would love for you to introduce some of the core members of your team and a couple of directors that are going to be with us tonight so we can get to know them.
Beautiful. Okay, well, I would like to start with the leader of our curating team, and that is the great Andrew Stoneham. He comes to us from a film festival background, and has worked for several festivals in the US on the East Coast, including Philadelphia Film Festival, but he also has some experience being actually the director of a festival himself over at the Bermuda Festival. And then he has done some curating as well for individual organizations. So he comes to us really with some direct industry experience, and I really count on him to give me and the rest of the team a very solid, insightful critique on our individual films. And he is the man that probably has the most influence on the program itself. So, Andrew Stoneham.
Wow. Welcome, Andrew. It's good to have you back on, because I think you were with us last year. I remember you being with us.
Yes, also my second year with Illuminate. So our Illuminate journeys are very in sync, Scott.
Oh, great. Before we bring on the directors, it must be a very hard job when you curate 500 films and you choose 11. How do you make those final decisions? And to what degree is it your own personal opinion? And to what degree are you projecting and imagining what your audience would like?
Well, the audience plays a significant role when we're curating. It definitely, it's a balancing act, right? You have to keep in mind the audience, what the audience is interested in, what they've asked for. You also have to have a certain objectivity when viewing the films. And especially with these films, because you have, emotional connection, you have a spiritual connection, but you really have to maintain that objectivity at all times as best as you can. I mean, you certainly come across films that you have a very special experience with, and you become the advocate of that film, right? Especially if maybe when you're getting to a deliberation stage, some of the other programmers or some of the other people who weigh in may not have that same experience as you. So you certainly have certain films you like to advocate for, but try and keep them, treat them all on an equal basis, so to speak. But you just have to keep a lot of things in mind when, making this selection. We do use a numerical rating system when we are viewing the films, just so, we're aware what it has and doesn't have. Like, is it hitting the right things we're looking for in the film? Is it, having an impact? Is it having an inspirational, emotional attachment to it? So there's a variety of components you look for, and based on those components, we create somewhat of a metric system as best we can to grade those films accordingly. And then those films that have high scores get elevated to our screeners. Shout out to all the screeners for Illuminate. They do a fantastic job of helping us go through that large volume. And then you kind of just have to cut away. You say, okay, well, these films unfortunately didn't make it. So then it just gets narrower and narrower until you're down to about like the top 30. And that's when you have to start to make some really hard decisions.
So I'm going to ask kind of a personal question to the two of you. Which of you calls the people who made it, and which of you reaches out to the people who didn't? I mean, let's get down to the,
Well, usually, actually, Andrew gets to do all of that. Although when I have, when a film makes it that I have, a personal connection to it, or I was maybe the first one that even saw it. One example is actually, Love Heals. And we're gonna bring on Dana in a second. I think I called Dana to let her know she got in. I don't know. Maybe Dana will tell. I did call her up. But yeah, Andrew gets the joy of all of that. And when we have a larger program, we do have 2 or 3 programmers do that. So Andrew, you can tell us what that's like.
Yeah, what is it? And do you call the ones who made it first, or do you save that after you've gone through the hard part?
No, usually we notify the filmmakers who we've officially accepted. I mean, that is obviously the great part of the process, because beginning of an intimate relationship, I think programmers and filmmakers have a very special bond, because the festival experience is a very unique experience. There are filmmakers I've known for about a decade now from other festivals that I've worked for, and they still show me their rough cuts of their new films and all that. So it's the beginning of a very crucial and important relationship. But of course, the downside of that is as much as we love films, we can't show everything that comes through our doors. So we do have to let them know, but it doesn't mean that that's the end of the shelf life for that particular film. We wish them well on their festival journey. There are films that did not make it into the program that I had a very strong connection with. And at times, when I'm reaching out to them to let them know, unfortunately, they were not selected, I do highlight that. I'm like, look, I had a personal, experience. This is the experience I had. So even though this not be the ideal news you were looking for, hopefully you'll take away the positive and that you had an impact with someone. So yeah, and they're always giving advice on how to navigate the festival circuit, right? Because the film festival circuit is a interesting organism to navigate. So we do help where we can if people ask for feedback or advice in terms of what do I do next, or where do I go from here?
Beautiful. Thank you for answering that kind of tough question. And I got to bring Dana on, and I just want to start, and then you can introduce her. What was it like for you, Dana, when you got the call from Danette?
I will never forget it as long as I live, because I'm a first-time film producer, and I was literally in the car in really spotty service on a road trip, and my phone rang, and it was Danette. And I'm like, oh my gosh, please, service stay, because I knew this is either make it or break it in that moment. So it is just forever etched in my mind and heart, getting the call and being told that our film Love Heals was going to be part of the festival. We celebrated and screamed in the car after Danette, and I hung up, of course, but it was like a moment I will never forget.
That's beautiful. Well, I hope you don't mind my jumping in and segueing, but it just seemed like the perfect segue. And then we do have another director who's with us, Bill Bennett. Bill, welcome, you're on camera now. Our audience can see you. And Bill's all the way in Australia, driving through the bush. Bill, who called you and what do you remember about getting that call?
Well, I've got to explain something. We've had very bad floods here, and what's happening at the moment is that the film is in theatrical release around Australia. My partner and I are driving from screening to screening for Q&As, and right at the moment we're in Victoria, where there's been very bad floods, and what we've got to do is we got to kind of keep driving to make sure that we get through the floods. It's very sort of dramatic. But
Oh,
anyway,
wow.
to answer your question, and what I'll do is I'll pull over in a sec just so there's no road noise. But to answer your question, look, this actually came through our distributors, Gather Films, Scott Gossaman, and Jonathan Ross, his associate. They were the ones that submitted the film, and they were the ones that told me, and I was absolutely blown out, because I know this is a very important festival. We're about to release the film theatrically in the US in January of next year, and this is a perfect launch pad, if you like, for that theatrical release. And it's a real honor to be in this festival.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, Bill, for coming to us all the way from Australia. And I'm going to put the spotlight on you, Danette. I kind of jumped ahead just because I thought it would be fun to get their first reactions. But why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about each film, and then we'll take a look at the trailer for each one.
Okay, well, I thought we would start with Facing Fear, which is directed by Bill Bennett. I wanted to actually just tell you all a little bit about Bill. He's quite a veteran writer, producer, and director of both feature films and documentaries. And his career has spanned about 30 years. He's made 16 feature films and numerous documentaries. And he's also an award-winning filmmaker. He's won Australian Film Institute awards for Best Picture and Best Director, and has been nominated a further 12 times. This is sort of, I think, his second documentary that has been very, very squarely and intently in the conscious space. And it's a very personal film, this one, maybe one that he didn't expect would be this personal, maybe when he first started out making Facing Fear. And it will definitely be the first time that it will be played outside of Australia, I believe, to a public audience. So we're really very excited about that. And I will actually turn it over to Bill to share a little bit about why he made this film. And then we'll go ahead and watch the trailer and talk about the incredible program that we have lined up for the festival for Facing Fear. Bill, why don't you go ahead and share a little bit about why you made this film? Oh, are we having? Okay.
Danette, I had made a film a few years back on intuition called PGS. Intuition is Your Personal Guidance System. It follows the same format as Facing Fear, and in a sense, it's a prequel to Facing Fear. And during the process of making that film, I realized really that that the biggest obstacle to intuition and to somebody accessing their intuition is fear. And so I started to think about fear, and I started to think, well, we think we know what fear is, but do we? I mean, I didn't really know what fear was or how it works or, that sort of thing. So I thought, well, this maybe could be a very interesting a way to explore fear would be to make a film about it in the same way that I explored intuition. And so I set about to make this film on fear, and then I had a how can I say it? It's sort of like the universe said to me, Danette, okay, Bill, if you're going to make a film on fear, then let's show you what real fear is. And not long after deciding to make this film, I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, and I experienced real fear. And so the film suddenly became very personal, whereas initially it was going to be kind of like a an objective, if you like, exploration of fear, suddenly I was experiencing real fear. And so the film became very personal.
Oh, that's an extraordinary thing. And I just want to ask you, do you feel that there was some sort of, based on whatever your spiritual beliefs might be, that there was some sort of it's not a coincidence that you decided to make this movie and then got the diagnosis. Do you believe that the two are somehow connected in your life's journey or in the greater scheme of things?
I believe it absolutely, Scott. I'll tell you what happened. While I was making the intuition film, I started to meditate more intensely. And in one meditation, I remember calling down my angels, my archangels, my guides, my masters. And I asked them, please bring forth that challenge which will accelerate my spiritual growth. And it was not long after that that I experienced my first tremors, which I later understood to be the first symptoms of Parkinson's.
Wow.
So, I do believe they're very much connected, yeah. And I do believe that this condition that I have is in fact accelerating my spiritual growth. I believe that absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. Well, you're in the company of some extraordinary souls, Muhammad Ali, Michael J. Fox, that have worked with that challenge of Parkinson's. And I think let's watch the trailer, and then I'm sure we're going to have some more questions for you.
Okay.
I'm so honored to have you with us, sir, and congratulations on all the success you've had in your career. That was quite a resume. Let's take a look at the trailer for Facing Fear.
Recently, I got some bad news. It catapulted me into fear. But I soon realized my fear would only make things worse. To deal with what I was facing, I first had to face my fear. So I set off around the world to find out all I could about fear.
Fear is an important functional element of the biological imperative. It is what motivates us.
Is it possible that what you think as energy can actually create the physics of reality?
By the time you start thinking about something, your fears get hold of you.
If we don't deal with that, it'll end up somewhere in our physical body.
So the body is continually behaving as if that's happening now.
In other words, the body will memorize that emotion and the body will become the mind of fear.
Which is feeding any form of fear. Fear, fear, fear. It's fed.
And that every choice you make in fear will get you more of the same.
I discovered there are two types of fear, real fear and false fear. It's the false fears that are killing us. I learned how to handle these fears. And I also learned that not all fear is bad.
Fear can be a motivating force for us to want to make changes.
Well, let's actually lead into the boogeyman. What is the boogeyman? Why is the boogeyman here? How can I dance with the boogeyman?
I started out choked with fear. Now I'm no longer afraid. Come with me on my journey. You don't have to live in fear.
Wow. First of all, that's a beautiful trailer. Most of those people, by the way, have been on our show at one time or another, so I saw a lot of familiar faces. And what stood out for me was that almost like a subtitle, Dancing with the Boogeyman. And how is it for you, Bill, dancing with the boogeyman? Would you say that your own personal relationship has become like a dance for you?
Well, Scott, look, the strange thing that's happened through the making of this film is that I have now, as I said, in that trailer, I have now pretty much lost fear. I mean, if somebody came at me with a knife and threatened me, I'd feel fear, because that's a natural emotional response to a very real threat. But the anxieties and the fears that I had before have pretty much gone. You know, so the dance has sort of come to an end. You know, I've said, thanks, fear. I've had my dance. Now leave me alone.
Wow, beautiful. People are really saying a lot of things right now in the chat box. Danette or Andrew or Dana, do any of you have anything you want to ask Bill or, you know, riff on?
Well, you know, obviously we had to utilize this film right now to address really this global fear, right? That we've all just been going through, having just been through a major pandemic, and having fears come up in different forms for everybody. And, you know, it might be fear of losing my rights, right? It might be fear of dying and death, you know, from the disease. It might be fear of isolation, and, you know, you know, there were so many things I think that have been brought up, and Bill's journey really reflects all of our journeys. And I will say that there have been times in conscious community where I've heard people say, well, I'm not the one in fear. It's all of you out there. And, you know, fear is such a human trait that I don't know, like Bill just said, if someone came at you with a knife, it's not about whether you have it or you don't. I think as humans, we all do, but it's really just how you relate to your fear. It's the relationship you have with it. It's whether you can release it, whether you can befriend it, whether you can have it not control your power. And I think that's the message that Bill is getting across in this movie. And I assume, Bill, that was, of course, your personal experience.
Absolutely, Danette. I should say that I use this Parkinson's diagnosis as an entry point for an audience, and then the film goes on to a broader examination of fear, and it circles back towards the end to comment on my personal situation right at the end. So, in other words, the film is about fear in the broadest sense. But you're absolutely right. You can't ever eliminate fear. And fear, what I've come to learn through the making of the film, is essential. We need fear. But how you work with fear and how you manage fear is the key to it. We can't ever hope to, and we wouldn't ever want to get rid of fear. It is an essential part of our biological kit. The problem is, you know, as comes through in the film, is that we have taken on fear in a way that was never meant to happen biologically. You know, we live in anxiety, we live in stress, we live in fear. And this is creating chemicals that course through our body constantly, and our bodies weren't meant for that. And so we do get sick. And the film addresses that.
Yeah, and actually, it really inspired us to present this film in a way that it could be incredibly useful to our audience. And so we're presenting it in conjunction with, you know, a workshop. And because as our screening committee was watching this, I think that the most powerful experience were for those people who could identify their own fear, or something that has come up in them recently that they're struggling with. And so, you know, those of us that really did that got something extra special out of the film. So we decided to go ahead and invite Sister Jenna and James Van Praagh and Judith Richards to join Bill and one of his producers on stage, during the screening, to help people workshop their own fear through it. So we will have a little piece of the workshop beforehand with Sister Jenna, and then afterwards with Judith, who is a psychologist that has created basically a trauma process. And then we will have a Q&A in the middle with all of them, and including James, where we will not only talk about the film, but James Van Praagh, who you might all know is the real life ghost whisperer and psychic medium that performs evidential mediumship. It blows you away. He's going to actually even take a moment to do a couple of readings with the audience and sense into the audience what fears might be coming up around death and people on the other side. And he will be able to communicate with those beings to help transform fear for some folks in the audience. So it's really kind of this incredible, multifaceted approach that sort of like, that this film is the center point of.
Yeah, I'm really excited about all of that. Sister Jenna has co-hosted the show a couple of times now. And I first put James Van Praagh on television. In 1994, I was a producer on a show called The Other Side. And we booked James onto that show. It was one of his very first TV appearances. So they're both people that I have a lot of love and have had the joy of collaborating with.
And Scott will be here in Sedona to moderate that conversation.
I'm very excited about it. Very excited. All right. Unfortunately, we've got 7 more trailers, and we're already a little bit beyond our agenda. Mr. Bennett, it's a real pleasure to meet you. Tremendous respect for you as your professional level and your success. But also thank you for making such an important film. Already just seeing what's going on in our chat box, I can tell that this movie is going to be a truly transformational movie for the people that watch it. Raising such a topic that we keep in the shadow that we don't like to talk about, and providing truly an illuminated look at it. And with so many amazing people offering their wisdom. So thank you, sir, for your service to our world. And it's an honor to meet you.
Well, Scott, look, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity now. Thank you to Danette and to Andrew as well. Like I said, it's a great honor to have this film at the festival.
We're so glad to have you, Bill, and coming all the way from Australia. Welcome.
Thank you.
Take care and good luck with those floods. Be careful.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting that his trailer starts with him in a car with water. I thought, how did he work that out?
That was very synchronistic.
That was very synchronistic. All right, tell us a little bit about Dana and the movie trailer we're about to see.
Okay, so Dana Croschere is one of a filmmaking pair. She is the producer of Love Heals, and her partner Chrisana is the director. And actually, this is their first feature film. And when I learned that, I was on the floor, because it's very rare to find a first-time filmmaker pair that produces a film this good. It's a film actually about Dana's journey. She is a chronic pain sufferer, and so she went on a journey to figure out how to heal. And actually, healing has become a real central point of the Illuminate Film Festival. We have several films on that topic, and it really does apply to not just one condition. It really applies to every condition, because Dana and Chrisana really address spirit and energy as a healing modality. And even that feels small for what this film really represents. Dana comes from a non-filmmaking background, including in the financial field, and in, customer service and all kinds of other places. And I think that making this film is going to actually change her life and her trajectory, because I see many, many more films coming from her and Chrisana. So yeah, roll the trailer.
Okay.
I'm Chrisana, and I'm a filmmaker. My partner Dana and I have been together 4 years, and throughout our relationship, Dana has suffered with chronic pain. After going from doctor to doctor, trying desperately to find answers, in 2020, she had 2 spine surgeries. When the spine surgeries failed to bring her relief, I began documenting her journey. I believed for a miracle and wanted to have a camera in hand when it happened. Then I was asked to create a documentary on healing to show how an ancient principle that's been known for 10,000 years was the secret to health. I wondered, how has this ancient principle helped so many heal? And can it help Dana too? And so began our journey.
스스로 자기의 건강은 자기가 지켜야 되고, 근데 그런 각성이 됐다 해도 방법을 모르면 안 된다.
I know body can do miraculous things, but I just didn't know how to tap into it. I don't know what's missing in my life.
Why am I trying so hard? Why am I suffering so much?
I kept telling myself that I could do this on my own, but I can't. I need help.
I have nothing else. So I had to get to a place where I was ready to heal.
So pain is a signal of protection. And the question is, from what?
Illness and pain are symptoms that you're not living in harmony, and that you should be dealing with the symptom not as the problem, but as a message that says, do something else.
Go inside and then find that thing that you're looking for all your life.
All of a sudden I could walk. The pain left my body and I could walk just fine.
I've been in chronic pain for like 10 years, and this is the first time that I can remember not even thinking about my knee.
I know we have the answers here, and I know that we can heal ourselves. Now I believe it a little bit more.
This journey woke me up. In the deepest pain and the darkest days, it allowed me to access something within myself that I wouldn't have otherwise.
Wow. Wow. And I love that Bruce Lipton's made his way into the first 2 trailers. Is he kind of like on staff to be in all of the, if you got to make it into the Illuminate Film Festival, Bruce has to be in the film. That's
yeah, and I think he was in 1 or 2 last year too. So he's very prolific with his film appearances.
I've got Andrew on too, because I'd love to hear a little bit from Andrew. That's, first of all, what a beautiful film, and how also I love the juxtaposition. We had Bill Bennett, who's this long-term experienced filmmaker, and then we've got a first-time filmmaker, and this really I love that juxtaposition.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to give Dana just a chance to share how this film project came about for them, and how it's going.
Dana?
First of all, I am incredibly honored to be here, especially sharing the stage with somebody like Bill, whose trailer and journey is deeply inspiring and really touched my heart deeply. So and truly, after hearing Danette and Andrew talk about the process, I don't know any of the behind the scenes or inner workings of a film festival. So to know that we are where we're at after going through so many films, it's incredible, to say the least. So I believe that because of that, there's a purpose for our film on this planet. And I hope that it gives more people than we can count hope and ways to help them heal their lives. So deeply honored. Love Heals was just so full of passion and authenticity and all of the things that you see really unfolded in that way so vulnerably. I feel like I was going through what I was going through, and I felt really alone and isolated. I ended up having 2 unsuccessful spine surgeries during the pandemic, and Chrisanna and I were so alone. And she just started capturing it. And she asked me my permission, and I'm like, what in the world are you filming this for? This is like really vulnerable. But I trusted her instincts, and I just said, yes, film it. What do we have to lose? And it just so happened that this film, the executive producer asked Chrisanna, who had done some like video promotion work for a few retreat centers and different organizations, was like, your ability to tell a story is what we've been looking for decades. And she was like, oh my gosh, okay. So she brought me to the meeting, and they said, well, what is your story? Who are you? And I'm like, oh no, I'm nobody. I work for a bank. I'm on leave of absence. I had some really bad spine surgeries and I'm in a lot of pain. And he's like, oh, tell me more. So it turns out, he's like, of course, we're going to follow your journey. It was never the plan. This film was supposed to be about other people and other things, and it just took a turn in that moment. And I thought, okay, so there is a purpose to my journey. So we ended up taking 18 other people on this healing journey with me. And as you'll see in the film, we immerse them in some of the most incredible practices and teachings to learn how to, really love themselves and have compassion for themselves and become their own greatest healer. And it was truly a life-changing experience, not just for me, but for everybody we took on the journey with us. So my partner, Chrisanna, is just amazing. We started filming in April of last year, completed the film by December, and here we are. I mean, it took 9 months to complete. So to be going to the Illuminate Film Festival is beyond our wildest dreams. And Danette's right, this is just the beginning, because I realized that all of my transferable skills in corporate America fit perfectly into being a film producer. It's amazing. So anybody that thinks that they can't do something completely like off the wall in their life, if they have a passion for it, I believe anything is possible, because I'm here today. So thank you for letting me be here and share.
Dana, you're super inspiring. And I've got 2 quick questions. We're already 15 minutes over, but this is you're both so intriguing. Susan, one of our audience members, is asking, are you in pain now? And I'm going to ask a second question, and the 2 might actually go together or not. What's one of your practices for managing pain or for using love to heal?
Oh, those are big questions. I would love for the person who asked about if I'm still in pain to see the film, because I take you on that journey with me. But because I'm here and you've asked, the pain has changed significantly since the time we were filming and going through all of this and learning these ancient practices and how to connect deeper with myself, how to, instead of having so much fear. I mean, Bill's film really resonated because I was terrified that I would never walk or have a normal life again. It was really bad. We don't even show how bad things really got. And so to be where I'm at today, where I experience a level of discomfort in my body, I try not to even use the word pain, because I feel like it's transformed so much and it's made me who I am at another level. It was just my ability and my mindset to understand that this has such a greater purpose than just being in pain and having that victim mindset. So yes, I still experience some discomfort. I did have a lot of nerve damage and some other things that happened as a result of those surgeries. But do I believe that I will live a life pain-free one day? Sure. But it ebbs and flows. Like, we're all meant to experience pain, whether it's emotional pain, physical pain. And so now I just have the tools to deal with it, which leads to the next question. So I have to create a lot of circulation in my body and connection to myself. So most of my discomfort was experienced obviously in my back, but the nerve pain went down my calves and into my ankles. So I've had a lot of discomfort in those areas. And that's not really a place that people think about creating energy flow. So I was really lacking that energy flow throughout my body. So I love different things like tapping. I actually experience a lot of energy flow through breath work and other modalities, definitely meditation and centering and being with myself, expressive writing. There are many things, but one thing that I can tell you is there's no silver bullet for somebody that's experiencing chronic pain or chronic illness. That is the journey inward. And it just unfolds the way it's meant to for your own specific growth. It's incredible.
Well, thank you so much. Suzanne in the chat box points out it takes 9 months to create a baby. So interesting that yours was a 9-month process.
Yes.
And it was 9 months to create Illuminate too. So we have that in
what?
Yes.
Beautiful.
Love
and
it.
also just how interesting the synchronicity between your film and Bill's film, and that both of you had some, ended up getting involved personally, and the film becoming, or at least for Bill, he said it's the entry point. But again, very interesting synchronicity there. We've got to move on because we've got a lot more, but Dana, thank you so much for being with us. You're very, very inspiring.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. It's time for a little more music. It's Saturday night, and our house musical artist, Omashar, is with us. About half the people, maybe a third of the people that are in the Zoom room with us, were all here in Sedona at our retreat last weekend, where Omashar flew in from Colorado, and we got to hear him play live. And I tell you, for those who weren't there, it was amazing. As wonderful as he is on Zoom, he's really wonderful on live. But we're back to the Zoom time. And Omashar, do you have a particular song for tonight's theme?
I do. I have a couple. We'll see how it goes, because I know first, Dana and Bill, I'm so inspired just by your trailers. It's humbling. It almost brought me to my knees, because I could feel it. I have only just perceived the trailers, but I'm feeling that, the facing the fear and all of it. I'm not going to say any more than that, but it's already touched me. And so those are two films I'll be able to virtually watch. Thank you very much. And this is a song called Contemplate, and it's another premiere. I've written 5 songs in the last 2 months, and this is number 4 I'm going to premiere tonight. And Scott, I think I've been on 110 shows now. I know, right? So anyway, without further ado.
That's very cool.
I'm on mute now. I mean, look, this is going to be fantastic for the film. Oh.
Turning to the face of those who need the light of truth to help them turn the other cheek and turn around. Lift each other up into the highest point of view so that together we can move to higher ground. Contemplating everything I knew, seems as though there's not much left that I would hold on to. Contemplating what is pure and true. Sun and moon and stars and light and earth and water too. We are rising, soaring, flying, living life so free. We are flowing, changing, growing, loving all we see. Glad to know we're coming home again. Open hearts and open minds and open doors and loving friends. Look at the one who's standing by you now. Destiny is in our hands, so leave identity behind. We are rising, soaring, flying, living life so free. We are flowing, changing, growing, loving all we see. Turning to the face of those who need the light of truth to help them turn the other cheek and turn around. We lift each other up into the highest point of view so that together we can move to higher ground. Ba-dum, bum, ba-da-dum, da-da. Ba-dum, bum, ba-da-dum, dum, ba-da-da-da-da. Contemplating everything I knew. Seems as though there's not much left that I would hold on to.
Thank you, Omashar. What a perfect song for what we've been witnessing so far tonight.
Yes, an interesting one when you debut something new, all your nerve endings are going, yeah. So anyway, I got through it. Thank you.
No, it's beautiful that you, and I love that you get to premiere it on our show with some people that love you.
Especially this Illuminate night. Thank you.
It is a very illuminated night so far,
yes.
And we'll continue. A reminder, everybody, that we can support Omashar and ourselves by getting his music. And a wonderful way to do that is by going to omashar.bandcamp.com. omashar.bandcamp.com. He's got several albums there. He's going to be having some new ones soon. So thank you, Omashar. Thank you so much. Well, Danette, we're off to quite a start, aren't we?
You know, I just love hearing from filmmakers and musicians. You know, their art just like their energy of their art just comes through so beautifully, and you know that alone even is transformative. So just such a wonderful evening to be with you all.
Yeah, it's very exciting, and I'd love for us to start letting our audience know how they can participate. So, of course, for starters, go to the website, and the website is simple. It's illuminatefilmfestival.com, illuminatefilmfestival.com, and when you go there, there's, of course, Facing Fear, which we just saw the trailer for. And I'm going to scroll down a little bit, and we can take a look at the different options. So there's festival passes and individual tickets. So let's talk about the festival passes first, and tell us about these two options that we have.
Well, if you're anywhere near Sedona and you want to fly or drive in, then I would encourage you to immerse yourself fully into the festival with an all-access pass. And that will allow you into all of our screenings in person and all of our special events that include, you know, a big VIP opening night party that is hosted by the premier restaurateur in Sedona. Her name is Lisa Dahl. And we also have a healthy happy hour that is sponsored by Chocolatry, which is sort of the local gathering point, you know, for the conscious community here in Sedona. And then, of course, we have an opening night ceremony with a short film, with some drumming, and a silent disco dance party. We have a brunch. We have a sound healing over at the Sedona Conscious Living Center. We have free yoga over at the Courtyard by Marriott outside. So it's really just this fully immersive experience with films and events and real healings and workshops and parties. If, however, you can't get to Sedona, we do have a virtual pass offering, which will allow you to watch all of the films, talk to all of the filmmakers, and take part in real healings as well. So, and that is an absolute bargain. I mean, who could get a whole week of films for $45?
No, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and connecting on Zoom with the filmmakers, you'll be able to ask questions. And then we also have some real healings, one of which we'll be talking about a little later. It's called The Sound of Us, about the power of music to heal. And actually, the musicians in the film will be on Zoom with another performance right after that movie.
Wow. So just to be clear, for all the virtual stuff, it's only $45.
Yes, we made it really affordable because we really wanted to reach every part of the globe. Since we pivoted into online, and we have, of course, COVID to thank for that, we are now showing our movies in all 50 states and 84 countries. So, we wanted everybody to be able to watch and to be able to afford this. So $45 is like a super steal.
That's unbelievable. And then for those of us who are in Sedona who are going to come, they can buy the whole pass for, again, it's only $222 for everything, or they can get individual tickets. So for example, they want to see Love Heals after meeting Dana. And so they can go down and purchase tickets. And so, for example, for her film, it's $20 to come see the movie. And that includes, I believe, some sort of a pre or post experience.
It does. So not only will Dana be there and Chrisanna be there, but we have Bruce and Anna from the film. They're coming in. And then we also have Master Il Chibuco, who is the president of the Mago Center, who is really an incredible being. She does a lot of the energy healing. She teaches a lot of the energy healing, and she will be doing a real healing in person after the movie as well.
Wow. Well, thank you. Thank you. And certainly want to take any questions. We'll come back and take a look at her website one more time tonight. We still have a lot left. We have a lot of wonderful trailers to see. And one thing that I'm very excited about is one of the online events is something that I've put together in conjunction with the with the Illuminate Film Festival. And it's going to be the Illuminated Visionaries virtual tribute with Marianne Williamson, Matt Kahn, Gary Zukoff, the Twin Ray, who are two of our favorite people here on The Awakening World. And we still might even have another wonderful visionary or two joining us. And that's going to be on Monday night, November 7th. Now that's through the Illuminate Film Festival. That's going to be a special event. And most of those people, Gary and Matt and the Twin Ray, are going to actually be with us live interacting. Marianne had another commitment that evening, so she pre-recorded her kind of acceptance and conversation with me yesterday morning. And while we were talking, she said, Scott, I've got a new course that's beginning, which would be great for your people. Can we just talk about it? So I did a special pre-record with Marianne just yesterday morning about her course that is going to start this Tuesday. And so I'm going to play that now. And this is different from what you'll see on November 7th, but it's a chance for us to connect to Marianne. And of course, Marianne has been on this show many times. It is one of our favorite luminaries, one of our favorite illuminated luminaries. So let's hear a little bit from Marianne and learn about her new course. We are here with Marianne, and she is about to launch a really important course that I think all of us should consider taking. First of all, hello, Marianne. Good to see you.
So good to see you always.
So let's get right into it. Tell us about this course and what inspired you to do it and what people are going to receive from it.
Well, you know, I've been a student of the Course in Miracles for decades, many decades, and I've been actually working as a teacher and as a speaker, as a writer on its principles for almost 40 years. And one of the issues with the Course in Miracles, which is all of your audience would know, is not a religion. It's a psychological mind training based on universal spiritual themes, things that all of us already know, but that all of us must constantly work on seeking to apply. I realize, as does any student of the course, that being a beginner and being an advanced student doesn't mean you become more complicated. It means that you become simpler in your willingness and ability to apply very simple principles in every situation. So the power of the Course in Miracles to me is that it is a practical course, and none of us can priest ourselves. For myself, as much as anyone else, there are times when I can't fill the gap, you know, between what I know to be true and my own reactivity or whatever. And that's in addition to calling on the power of God. It also means sometimes calling on friends, calling on counselors, calling on coaches. Help me see. So that's been the joy of my professional life. You know, you give what you need to learn. So I teach how these principles apply. And that's how I stay in shape. You know, I've always thought of myself as a kind of spiritual aerobics teacher. The aerobics teacher is going through the moves, which helps you apply them, but it's also how he or she stays in shape. Now, I don't think since the time my career began, or even in my lifetime, and I'm sure, Scott, you would agree with me about this, the times in which we live, the chaos, the stress, the mean-spiritedness. You and I were talking before we came on about you're doing an event in Sedona and how important it is to create the counterbalance, create the counterforce. So I think courses like this, seminars like we teach, all of the work that all of us are doing has to do with creating a counterweight to the forces of chaos, a world that is falling apart. And at the same time that a world is falling apart, another world is struggling to be born. So I'm doing the 6-week course, the same way I write a book, same way I teach. It's what I do. Let's talk about these courses, whatever ability I might have, not just talk about these courses, let's talk about these principles, any ability that I might have to articulate them in a way that help them to land. And then let's talk about how to apply them. So we ourselves, you know, we're living at a time when it seems to me we have one of 3 choices. You can either live your life at the effect of the chaos of this moment. Number 2, you can live your life learning principles like in this course, develop your wings, develop your capacity to rise above the thought forms that are bringing people down. And the third choice is not only to learn how to endure this chaos, but learn how to be someone who transforms this chaos. And that's what's happening now. We're learning how to, first of all, endure the craziness in our own lives, and then rise to such a level that you begin to attract into your life what the Course in Miracles calls your mighty companions. And then together we are led to the ability to serve the world exponentially more than any of us could do by ourselves. And that's really, whether you call it light worker or teacher of God, the immune cell of our society, we bring forth the love that is necessary to navigate, for the human race to navigate this very, very, in some ways, perilous moment, I think.
Absolutely. That's why I call my shows The Awakening World. It's like, okay, that's what needs to happen. We all need to awaken together. And I cannot think of a more important course or really a better teacher. You know, what you've gone through, the incredible courage you showed, especially during the election, and the way that you have been leading us for a long time, Marianne. So I'm going to go to the link, and you go to the WilliamsonInst.com, Developing Your Wings. And of course, we'll put this link out there.
Yeah, and you can get there also, Scott, just through going to Marianne.com. If you go to Marianne.com, the banner is right at the top.
Oh, okay, great. That's good to know. So tell us about the specific, like what's going to take place during this 6 weeks?
Well, it's like if you're going to play a concerto, you have to learn the scales. So every week I will be taking a basic principle of metaphysics, spirituality, A Course in Miracles. It won't be things that people don't already know necessarily, but as the Course in Miracles says, enlightenment begins as abstract concept, and then it makes a journey without distance from the head to the heart. So we'll talk about how, as the Course in Miracles says, enlightenment is a shift in self-perception from body identification to spirit identification, all the ways in which we're trained by the world to identify with my body, my resume, my mistakes, my failures, my successes, other people's opinion about me, my physical lifetime. It's like a mental prison, and we're taught to just stay within the box of that perception of yourself. And it is a very limited perception of yourself. And because of that limited perception of yourself, your idea of what is possible for you in your life is very limited. So, I'll coach you, let's move from, no, I'm not a body, I'm a spirit. No, I'm not what happened in my past. The past is only in my mind. I live in the present, and in the present, all things are possible. And if I only bring the past into the present, then I will program the future to be like the present. But in this moment, I can open up to new possibilities. And because there's nothing more powerful than an agreement between two people. So my job is to agree with you about the unlimited possibilities in your life due to the fact that you are not your mistakes. You are the eternal innocence that God created. We are living in particularly mean-spirited times. There's so much judgment. There's so much blame. There's so much j'accuse. And all of us are heir to it, And as I said before, you can live your life at the effect of all that, or you can do the attitudinal work to shift away from that. Just like when you go to the gym and you do work, whether it's weights or yoga or whatever, to build your physical muscles. You do spiritual work to build your attitudinal muscles. You do physical work so that you can go out there and move. You do spiritual work so you can stay in here and be non-reactive. The Course in Miracles says that all thought creates form on some level. So reactive thought, judgmental thought, attack thoughts, defensive thoughts, they put disturbance in the field, and they limit what's possible for you in your life. In the field of love, non-reactivity, stillness, non-judgment of self or others, which we'll work through, that judgment of self, we create a field of infinite possibility, because that's what love is. Love is the mind of God, and in the mind of God, all things are possible. And when you think about this right now, Scott, that this is true not only for us as individuals, but for the world in which we live, what could be more important?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is, love in action is replacing judgment with curiosity, seeking to understand each other. And so I love how you say that. And a couple of practical things. So it's Tuesdays, 12 noon Pacific, 3 o'clock Eastern. I see that there's a 20% discount code. And is this going to be a Zoom meeting or a Zoom webinar?
I don't know the difference, actually.
A Zoom webinar, we just see you. A Zoom meeting, everybody's on camera.
And times when you can see everybody, because I'll call up, because it's going to be a 90-minute class each week. So I'll talk for a while, but then we'll go into questions and answers and working with people. So people will be highlighted. If your question seems like something that would be good for the whole class to take, we'll bring you up on highlight. And
great. And it's recorded. So if somebody misses the class, they can, of course, catch the recordings. Beautiful. Thank you so much for your ongoing work.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And I think that now more than ever, there's such a sense that, we're all joined together. The Course in Miracles says an idea grows stronger when it is shared. So we're all sharing these ideas. We're all downloading the same thoughts from, into the field, as it were, because there are basic concepts. And it's always wonderful to see you and to feel like we're working together and bringing forth new ideas. So thank you. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk about developing your wings so that we can evolve to the new place, where we have wings, we rise above all this.
I love that it's called Developing Your Wings, because I always imagine we are the imaginal cells
Right.
finding each other.
The butterflies.
Exactly, to create the new paradigm.
And like you were saying, the mass awakening, the Course in Miracles points out that in the Bible, it says that Adam fell asleep, and nowhere does it say that he woke up, that there's not been a mass awakening, but that it's time for one now.
Yeah, absolutely. I love locking arms with you and collaborating with you, and looking forward to seeing you in a week on our Illuminated Visionaries
I
program.
look forward to it as well. Thank you.
Take care.
You're muted, Scott.
Thank you. A little preview, and as always, some wonderful wisdom from Marianne. She is such an inspiration, and I give a little homeopathic dose. On November 7th, I ask her about her future, and she talks very vulnerably about her considerations of whether or not to run for president again, what she went through before. And it's one of the most personal experiences I've ever had of Marianne. She really dropped into sharing some really very, the challenges of that big consideration of whether to do that again. So we'll hear from her on November 7th when she receives her award from our Illuminated Film Festival. And Danette, anything stand out for you that you want to riff on from what we just saw or heard?
Well, she talks about, really an awakened world. This course is there to help us get there, right? Because, I think with the world in chaos right now, we're all really looking for guidance on how to be a part of this, right? How to be a part of the new birth, how to be a part of, kind of the awakened world, how to rise above. And, that is why we programmed this next film that we're planning to talk about, which is called AMMA's Way. And, I've heard Marianne just talk about the most important word in our language, right? Which is love. And what is going to get us through? It's going to be love. Love is the solution. No matter whether we are divided, no matter whether we think differently, no matter where we feel differently from others, we're going to love anyway. And that is the essence of AMMA. And that is the essence of this film that is communicated. I mean, the message that is communicated through this film. And I would love to share the trailer of this as well, if we're going to move into that.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect timing.
Okay, let me share you this trailer, and then let's talk about what this film really does mean. So I'm going to share that.
Acceptance, accepting everything, everyone as they are.
She's saying you have to light a fire underneath people to make them burn with this desire to be able to do something good for the world. That's what she inspires with her love.
Converting potential energy into kinetic energy is like alchemy, and that's what AMMA does. She sees the potential energy in the world, in people.
The most precious thing I've ever taken away from AMMA is to know how to give. She teaches by example. And there's nothing as empowering as to be able to give something, I don't know, even if it's a part of yourself.
So can you feel that energy, all of you out there?
Absolutely.
Can you feel the energy of this film? I've got to tell you that when our screening committee watched this film, there was just silence. Because I think everybody could, feel the love emanating from the screen. And, I don't know how much you all know about AMMA, right? Who's sort of known globally as the hugging saint and this incredible global philanthropist, and how she came from very humble beginnings to become I would even venture to say, kind of the leading figure for unconditional love in the world.
Yeah.
And how large her network has grown, and how she has attracted huge, abundance in order to then route those monies to the needs and the causes, right? That will help, feed the hungry, that will help heal the sick, that will help, build our infrastructure so that every person in the world can thrive. And I've got to say that when we watched this film, we just knew that this was going to be our opening night film. Because just like Marianne was saying about her course, right? Everybody's really looking for the answers right now. And this film provides the answer. And that answer is just unconditional love.
I'm putting out to people, who has been hugged by AMMA? I'm lucky in that I lived in Los Angeles most of my life. And that's one of the places she comes to every year. I just want to read a few of the connections. Destiny, our wonderful musical friend, writes, we love AMMA. Wow, tears, powerful trailer. Mark Denisovsky says, I've had many experiences with AMMA. It's imperative that her message is shared in this way. Her life story and mission is one of those profound messages of our time. Thank you, Mark. And then Tarina, who's coming to us all the way from Ecuador, writes, experiencing AMMA's love and hugs has been unforgettable. Excuse me. And her mission of philanthropy is more than inspirational.
I am so happy to hear. Are there more?
One last one that I'll read. Ayala writes, I was at AMMA's 50th birthday celebration in 2003. And even though I've seen and been hugged by her a few times, I was blown away during the celebration. She was hugging thousands and thousands of people. It's true, she stays there and hugs 12 hours, 15 hours, 18 hours, doesn't eat, doesn't go to the bathroom, just gives everybody their hug.
Yeah, this blew us away. We cried, we laughed, we celebrated. It's one of those films that takes you through the whole range of emotions. And one thing, of course, right, that really hit us was that, when she's in this service of love and gratitude and giving, all of those limitations of being a human, like having to eat or having to go to the bathroom, you transcend it. It's not that often that we get to see really a living, walking soul be able to transcend our human limitations, on this continual basis, and then still have this exceptional loving energy come through to everyone unconditionally, to her loving staff, to the people who are at her darshan, to, a thief, and that's equal love to all. So, that's one of the most inspirational films I think we have seen come out in a while, and it really just presents solutions. And then it really talks about the scope of what one person who embodies this is really able to do. And I want to also just share some special news, which is a relatively new announcement, which is that Swami Dayamritananda Puri, who is the executive director of the MA centers, AMMA centers in all of North America is going to be flying in for the screening. And, you know, AMMA has asked him to speak to our audience on her behalf. So we're really honored to have him. He's a 37-year disciple of AMMA and basically essentially runs rural operation in North America. So we will have him to talk about the film. And then we are going to have this incredible music celebration with Ananda Das. Many of you know Ananda from Jaya Lakshmi and Ananda.
He's been on this show a couple times with Jaya Lakshmi.
Oh yeah, great. So Ananda will be doing a kirtan reggae soul fusion to bring our energies, you know, to a crescendo after that film. And then last but not least, we do have an awards ceremony, because one of the things we wanted this film to do was inspire everybody towards an act of love, service, and kindness. I really think the whole world needs to see this film, because I think everybody will walk out of there and do something good, right? For their neighbor, for their friend, for their, you know, family. And so we are honoring some folks here in the Sedona community who have embodied that same essence of love and service that AMMA exudes, because really we just need as many role models as possible to remind us of who we truly are.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, that is really inspiring. And I think let's go, since it's all about love, let's go to Destiny Love, who is feeling probably extra inspired after seeing her beloved AMMA. What a perfect opportunity to go to you, Destiny, for your next song.
Wow, I am just blown away by the beauty here and the synchronicity. Thank you. Cast your fears aside with your heart open wide, you will not break like a weeping willow, willow. Cast your fears aside with your heart open wide, you will not break. And if you do, you will be mended, mended. You will bend, you will bend, you will bend, you will bend, you will not break like a weeping willow, willow. You will bend, you will bend, you will bend, you will bend, you will not break. And if you do, you will be mended, mended. In my yesterdays I cried, but I dug deep down inside and found the way to break on through. You will break through, yeah, you will get through. And if you break, oh yes, you will be mended. You will break through, you'll get through. And if you break, yes, you will be mended, mended, mended. We can tend to the mother as we tend to each other. There is space if we choose to remember, remember, remember that we will bend, we will bend, we will bend, we will bend, we will not break. And if we do, we will be mended. So we can cast our fears aside with our hearts open wide. We will not break
Thank you so much. Mm. You know, you talked about synchronicity, destiny coming on, and some of you may have noticed when we started promotion for this that Cornflower was a beloved member of our tribe, was originally going to be one of our musical artists tonight. And his mother had a very serious stroke on Tuesday. And so I mentioned this for two reasons. One, it was beautiful how Destiny jumped right in and said, yeah, I can fill in. And how perfect, because you've got a relationship to AMMA. And your sweetness is just really perfect for the feeling of tonight. And I also mentioned this because many of us do know Cornflower and love him. So let's put his mother and his family into our prayers. Maximum grace for Cornflower, his mother, and the family. She is in ICU, and we don't know if she will come home. So that's where that's at. And thank you so much, Destiny, for bringing such your very unique love, music. And again, a reminder that she's a lot. She writes books, she leads retreats, she leads workshops, she has online courses. You can find out all about it at destinymarielove.com, destinymarielove.com. And I do want to ask you about the other book, Living as a Vessel, The Art of Integrating Challenging Experiences into the Embodiment of Creative Expression.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. So that was the first book I wrote, Living as a Vessel, and it's the story of my awakening through a really traumatic experience and the integrating that experience in and then channeling it through my creative babies, my creation babies. And so I tell my story and then share with whoever the reader is how they can do that in their own lives also.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Destiny, for being with us. And give my love to Andrew and your two beautiful children. I know it's bedtime for them.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I just want to say on that website, if these two songs I shared are there, and they have just a beautiful accompaniment on them, and bass and keys and drum kits, and just really beautiful productions that were just produced in Hilo, Hawaii. And yeah, take a listen for all of you who can go there and do that.
Thank you so much for providing your beautiful creative expressions for us. And I know we'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
Take care. Well, I'm going to bring Danette on, and I'm going to bring on Andrew. We haven't heard from Andrew for a little bit. So, hey, Andrew, how's this show going for you?
Oh, it's going great. You know, I'm loving this experience.
Good, good. Well, I guess we should go into the next trailer. Which one are we going to look at next, Danette?
Well, I think Destiny just sort of communicated the message of this next film, which is the power of music to heal, the power of music to calm, connect, and comfort. And that's essentially, you know, the kind of center point of this next film. It's called The Sound of Us.
I'm going to play it.
Music to me is
I don't even understand it sometimes how it happens.
Music is the great equalizer in life.
All of our programming came to a screeching halt.
It's hard to stay in your old life waiting for it to resume when old life might not come back anytime soon.
I heard people that were, going to get jobs driving for Uber Eats.
Forests have been burned down, but up are going to sprout these beautiful green
shoots.
I believe that the musician understood more and better than others that it's time to save humanity.
Smile through your heart.
Amazing.
Music is nothing but communication.
It's what I just want to do every day.
It's hope. It's redemption.
It's a beautiful thing.
Music is life, love, light, honest, makes us feel known, tradition.
And it just feels like home.
We are part of a collective humanity.
Music chooses you is an opportunity to have a conversation. It's a miracle on every level.
Whatever music needs to be for you to be better, let it be that.
We all hurt, we all cry, we all laugh, and we all hum a tune or two.
Music made me who I am.
It contains the essence of the human soul, one could say.
It's the most powerful thing we have that makes us human. That's life, and that's music.
What is music? What is music to you?
Very extremely powerful.
Wow. Amazing editing. I mean, just like such diversity.
The film really brings together the message of, I mean, instead of writing the trailer, like, you know, music is the great unifier. And that's very true about this film. It brings together a collection of inspiring stories. It really showcases the beauty and power of music. How can you use music to, heal yourself? How do you use music to come to terms with grief? Like, there's so many uses with music as an art form, as a modality in itself. And that's what is at the core of this particular film, is how do we interweave music into our life? In fact, I was reminded when I was watching the film of my own personal experience I had. It was during the height of the pandemic. I myself live in New York City. I think we were like in the midst of lockdown and had a curfew and everything. And I was out doing some errands, and being in New York City, like, music is, sort of in the very fabric of the city. And during the height of the pandemic, there wasn't much live music going on anywhere. And so one day I was simply out running errands, and there was an empty storefront, and there was a pianist and some violinists, and they were playing, and they had speakers projecting the music out into the street. And, it was a bit bizarre because there was no one around. And then I stopped to listen to the music. And then before you know it, there was at least 60 people there. And it was like, and in that moment, like, we were all together, like, that moment, kind of showcases the power of music. So when you're watching this film, I think it reminds you of your own experiences and your own personal relationship with music. And I think it sort of frames it in a way that maybe you didn't consider how powerful music is, not only in your life, but the lives of everyone else. I think I had that sort of experience when I watched it, as someone who kind of is eat, breathes, and lives film. I never really immersed myself musically too much. And so, it kind of raises some important questions and really highlights, like, how music can transform you and your life. And so that's sort of what this film brings to the table.
Beautiful. Wow. I just can't wait to see all these films now. I mean, that's the great thing about doing a show like this, is we get a chance to go, wow, these are amazing. And that's true about music. As you were just talking, Andrew, I was thinking of all the experiences I've shared with others, even like as a teenager, and I didn't know, how do we get along? We're 14, we're trying to figure out how to be social. What did we do? We listened to records, right? And that's what we did, because we didn't know how to talk to each other yet, but we could listen to the Beatles, or we could listen to Led Zeppelin or whatever. Obviously, I'm a little bit older. Yeah, music is Dia writes, music is everything to me. It is life itself. I'm so looking forward to experiencing this film. This film is life-giving. George Noble writes, music is the sounds of love and creativity. Ayada writes, wow, even though I truly enjoyed every one of the trailers so far, this one about music had an extraordinary effect on me. My entire heart chakra and physical area of my chest began to swell. I was engulfed with emotion, my eyes streaming with tears. I don't know exactly what happened, but I suspect it has something to do with what I've long sensed, that music is one of the most powerful unifying forces on the planet. Ayada, thank you. That's a beautiful, sure. Noel writes, music is the language of the heart and connects our hearts together. So, wow.
And actually, sorry to interrupt you, Scott, but I'm so moved by some of these, responses, Ayada specifically, that I'm actually going to send these to the filmmaker. I just want to share this is that, and Andrew could really tell the story in depth, but Chris Garrow, who is the director of this film, he's also an award-winning music producer. I mean, big time. I mean, Andrew, do you even remember how many Grammys and whatnot he's been?
Just a few Grammys,
and he said he's been getting disillusioned actually with having virtual screenings because there were not enough people who were supporting virtual cinema as the pandemic kind of faded away and everybody could go back into live events. And we said, but this film has to make it into this festival because our audience will hear this message so profound, so purely and profoundly, and that's evidenced by what I'm reading here in the chat, that we said, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to make this screening not just another screening. We're going to make this screening, incredibly powerful. So they said, well, we're either going to make it big or we're not going to do it at all, So that's why we have Chris actually there for the Q&A. We have Molly Carr, who is the founder and co-director of Project Music Heals Us, who's one of the folks in this film, and Andrew Jantz, who's also a part of that, going to be playing music after the film. And then we also have Tommy Demenkoff, who is in the film as well. And he's the director of arts education at the New York City Department of Corrections. And there's a segment in the movie that talks about how music is actually healing inmates and what the profound transformation is there. And I got to tell you, this is one of those films where you feel you're on an emotional roller coaster during this film. It lifts you up and then you're sobbing and then you're lifted up and then your heart is bursting. And this is that kind of film. And I'm just asking all of you out there to come support Chris and all of these folks and make this the screening that they really, really want.
Beautifully stated. Beautiful. Now, there's a question that came in. This is from Dorina in Ecuador, so she's not going to make it to Sedona. She writes, I noticed that Alma's Way and Facing Fear are not included in the virtual screenings program. Would it be possible to still see them during and as part of the IFF? For now, we're even more eager to want to see them.
I know this was the risk of actually covering some of our virtual films here, but so Alma's Way and Facing Fear are not going to be currently virtual, and that is because those films want to go through a theatrical release first before they go virtual. So stay tuned, everybody, because we are definitely going to see if we could get virtual screenings of both of those films after they're theatrical. So, jump on our email list. And we're definitely going to get those out. And same with Love Heals. And they've already agreed to do that. So Anyway.
Okay. All right. We've got 3 more trailers. What's the next one?
Okay, the next
How
one is
about-
Go Heal Yourself. Yeah, Andrew, did you want to do Go Heal Yourself?
Oh, I was about to say Go Heal Yourself. Yes, let's watch the trailer for Go Heal Yourself.
Do you want to say anything about it before?
No, I will definitely say something afterwards, though.
Okay. Here's Go Heal Yourself, soon to be followed with commentary from Andrew.
My dad and I connect over many things. Traveling, filmmaking, but also over taking a range of different medications every day.
Es ist anstrengend, wenn ich mit dir rede, fange ich an zu zittern.
The medications improve the symptoms, but they can also have really bad side effects.
We watched my mother have Parkinson's. She ended up with Alzheimer's and dementia from 20 plus years of the medications.
I was on the meds for a long time, and the side effects were horrible.
Depression,
Pain in
insomnia,
arms and legs, dementia.
suicide attempts.
I started thinking maybe I'll just kill myself.
It feels like a prison, and I want to escape.
There are things that Western medicine doesn't offer.
You have to detox the body.
Think about when I stopped eating sugar.
It drove me insane.
Keine Bratwürstchen?
Nein, keine Bratwürstchen.
Ich bin kein Hase.
Many doctors does not explain the healing process. They just tell you what's wrong with you.
When I went for the second scan, they discovered that the tumors had gone. There are other ways to do it. It's more work.
And then I had another seizure. There's no test that could ensure me that any of what I'm doing is working.
It's not an easy journey.
We don't have the ultimate control of our destiny. And either you define yourself by it or you don't. And I choose not to.
I've got nothing to lose and everything to gain.
You tell me I'm gonna die, I'm like, I'm gonna heal myself.
Alles für mich Quacksalber. Kostet alles Geld und bringt gar nichts.
Wow. All right, Andrew, tell us.
All right, let me tell you about Go Heal Yourself. So you may have noticed there is some, similarities between 2 other films we highlighted, Facing Fear and Love Heals, in the sense that this is a healing journey, and the person at the center, the heart of the story, is also the film's director, Yasmin. But what is different about this film is, Yasmin comes from a more traditional upbringing. So you see in the film, her father is very much against alternative medicine and kind of, doesn't think much of her going on this journey to try these alternative medicines. And there is a bit of skepticism with Yasmin herself. She goes on this journey because she's come to the end of her rope. She's tried all this, modern Western methods to treat her epilepsy, and nothing seems to be working. So she's like, well, let me try some alternative methods. Like, what do I have left to lose? And so she goes on this journey, this transformational journey, where she tries or she's introduced to a number of healing modalities, and she tries these healing modalities to see, how they can help her with her epilepsy. And it's sort of this really beautiful, simple story as we follow Yasmin. She's almost like our guide, and we are connected with other individuals who she encounters along her journey who have other chronic illnesses that are on the same journey, and they share their personal stories, and they share, what they've done to help them cope with their ailments, and we see that direct impact on Yasmin and how she takes that and incorporates that into her own journey. So it's definitely a character-driven documentary. Whether she arrives at the destination, you don't have to watch the film to find out, but it's certainly some powerful filmmaking.
Wow.
And I'm going to jump in there too, Scott, if that's all right,
Yeah, please do.
because what I love about this film is that it is the most comprehensive film we've ever seen in our 9 years of alternative medicine options. You know, it covers everything from traditional Chinese medicine to ayahuasca to juicing to qigong to hypnotherapy to CBD to Ayurveda to, you know, I mean, we've done some healing films before, but never one really that's kind of exhausts like the whole sort of spectrum of options. And it's also very grounded and realistic. So it's not like, oh, here, if you do this one thing, you're going to be healed tomorrow. It's very much grounds in the whole process of exploring and discovering what might work for you.
Beautiful. Wow. And what an amazing way that these films do all kind of support each other. I mean, there's certainly a very clear theme emerging here. Wow. All right, let's do one more trailer, then we've got some Omashar, and then we'll do our final 2 trailers.
All right, Andrew, we have to pick one last one.
Let's go with Carbon.
Okay.
We'll go with environmental. That's a little bit different than the ones that we've shown so far.
Okay. And there we go. There's Carbon. All in a folder. And we are almost ready. Here we go.
If I were to fall in love with an element, it would have to be carbon.
Carbon's the life of the party.
You'll know when Carbon walks in.
Carbon's just annoyingly good at everything.
How can she be so versatile? Solids and liquids and gases.
Because of carbon energy.
Life has become longer, health's better, all because of this sort of free gift.
So how did I come to be the most talked about but least understood element on Earth?
The levels of carbon pollution have increased dramatically.
It's not carbon's fault.
Know that carbon dioxide is building up.
It's going to lead to coastal flooding, droughts, storms.
It's the way we are using carbon. It's not carbon herself.
And we're approaching a tipping point.
Carbon is profoundly important in the universe. She is what makes us possible.
We don't exist independently of nature. We are nature because we are made of carbon. So is everything else.
But how did that spark of life begin in your world?
There's a direct line from the birth of carbon in stars to the birth of us and all of the life around us here on Earth.
It's like finding a long-lost relative.
Wow. I'm a participant in a great unfolding story in the universe.
We've been very fortunate to find the oldest carbon-bearing material in the world, 3.5 billion years old. This is the signature of life.
My generation feel viscerally that their future is at stake.
Nothing is more urgent to survival than understanding carbon and where she likes to hide.
Wherever I find life, it's going to have some carbon chemistry, just the way I do.
We have to learn to get along with carbon. And she's very happy to get along with us if we treat her right.
Builder or destroyer? Which do you want me to be?
What a fascinating, that's an incredibly intriguing trailer.
It certainly is. As Danette mentioned, it's more environmentally focused than some of the other films that we've highlighted this evening.
And yet still very existential, right?
Very true. What I really loved about it was it poses a very simple question that is like the basis of the film. What is carbon? And I think anyone with an elementary school education is like, yeah, I know what carbon is. You know, and that's clearly not the case once you watch
it. And I love just the creativity of it. I mean, you can tell there's a playfulness to it that I really loved.
It's very playful. It's very lighthearted. Something that really draws the audience in is it is told from the perspective of carbon. It's a great narrative tool to use to like get you hooked. It features a lot of many, not only scientists, but also, other people with wisdom, spiritual leaders, and they all, explain the process of carbon. How is carbon connected to us? Do we come from carbon? Is carbon harmful to the environment? Just like a rudimentary of questions that you think you know the answer to. And this film just like examines it and shows you maybe not so much. Maybe you thought you knew, but that's not necessarily what's true. But it's funny as well. It's just something that's like very lighthearted, easy to take in, with also providing a nice, impactful experience for our audience.
Beautiful. I have to say something as the host here. The carbon trailer and the music trailer, the space bar is embedded. I couldn't get rid of the space bar. So I just wanted you guys to know that if possible, try and get trailers for future that don't have the space bar embedded. Wasn't on me.
Okay.
All right, now we 2 more trailers, but we're gonna take a little break, get a little Omashar music, get your groove on, everybody. Get up, move, dance, and they'll come back for our final 2 trailers. Omashar.
I am here, and I'm not too sure if it's going to be so dancey. I actually did have a dancey song prepared, but I realized I have an album called Illuminate, and I have a song called Illuminate, and so so we're going to listen to that right now, and here we go.
Illuminate yourself with the waves of love passing through. Think not anything. You're the one you're waiting for. We have now received all the blessings of all time. Come and celebrate what we've all become. Life is you, love is you, and be all that you are. Show the world you are true, and all the earth will rise and answer you. No need to hesitate. Open hearts can walk right through. There is no door or gate that could hold your love at bay. We encourage you to hold only to what is true. Your life is yours to make. true. Life is you, love is you, and be all that you are. Show the world you are true, and all the earth will rise and answer you. Life is you, love is you, be all that you are. Show the world you are true, and all the earth will rise and answer you.
Thank you, beloved Omashar.
I love that song. It's so cool.
Oh, Danette, I think you have a new theme song for your festival here.
I am so excited. Omashar, we must talk. Yeah, this song needs to be an Illuminate.
Yes. Yes.
I'll connect you two. I will definitely
do so, and you're welcome to use it, of course. You know,
It's just
it's got a copyright on it. It means copy it right. So it's a joke.
By the way, you know, you can find his Illuminate song that we just heard. If you go to his YouTube channel, just go to YouTube and go to Omashar Music. And there it is, Illuminate. So thank you so much, brother, for all that you give to us.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you. And thank you for this evening. It's phenomenal. Wow. Can't wait to see some of the films.
Really? Yeah. Come back to Sedona.
I know, dude. I shouldn't have left, right?
All right. Well, I'm going to bring back Andrew and Danette, and we've got 2 more trailers. What's next?
Should we do Antidote or Invisible Extinction, Andrew?
Let's do Antidote.
All right. Is there anything you want to say prior to this? All right, we'll just play it. That way we have no idea what this is going to be about. So
no expectations.
Okay, it's a short trailer too, only a minute.
Que la medicina tradicional, por lo que se ha perdido, estamos en una nueva globalización. Y ya estamos trabajando buen tiempo y estamos ya trabajando con los occidentales. Vienen de esa ideología occidental, lo que han causado acá con nosotros, ¿no? Tampoco tenemos rencor ni odio por lo que ha pasado. Vemos y trabajamos para poder liberar de todas esas traumas, tanto la parte occidental y la parte indígena.
Wow. Well, definitely, we're going to need you to tell us a little bit about this one.
Certainly. So Antidote is a very ethereal film. It focuses on a group of individuals, primarily from Western society, who decide to go down and go on an ayahuasca journey in hopes of healing some very personal trauma that they experience. And it we really go with them hand in hand on this journey. It's not like some of our other films where it's a personal journey and we're following that character, we meet all these other characters. This one, it's almost like you are there. You are every moment of their journey, you are experiencing it. And you are experiencing also the wisdom that is being imparted by the shamans and the particular tribes that they encounter. But it is and it's also a very visceral film. It's a very cinematic film that really showcases, the power of sacred land and the beauty of the earth and the rainforest. But it's an immersive film. It just really draws you in and takes you on this journey. That's sort of the experience you get as an audience member. I know Danette's experience probably is a little bit different from mine, and she probably wants to share that as well.
How did you know, Andrew? How did you know? Yeah, so, certainly this film is about a group of people trying to process their own trauma in all these different ways, in the Amazon. But it's also about other things. And I thought it was brilliant how Mark Silver, the director, wove in several themes to make it this really beautifully, it's aesthetically beautiful, the way that he structures the whole story arc. And it really talks about healing the relationship even, between the indigenous and the Western world. And it talks a little bit about that conflict, and it talks about how these shamans approach that conflict, and how actually the master of all of this is the plant, and is nature, and is the Amazon forest, and how really the healing for all of this, including this conflict, is going to be through Mother Earth. And so it really does, kind of have a sociological approach as well, in addition to sort of, individual healing stories, and, really a reverence for nature and the healing, of our planet.
Beautiful. It's interesting. I'm not going to say coincidence, it's just amazing timing. On tomorrow morning's show, it's all about shamanic pathways. And we've got Oscar Miro Quesada, who's a very well-known teacher who's going to be with us live. And he's just written a book about shamanism, and a lot of it has to do with plant medicine. And also joining us, she's not on the poster, but Sophia Amargi, who was just on our show, is coming back tomorrow. And she goes down, she's a psychotherapist who has been studying the combination of indigenous wisdom and indigenous plant medicine with psychotherapy. And that's what our show tomorrow morning is going to be all about. So it's just kind of a natural little segue there.
It is, and as we all know, plant medicine, psychedelics, right? There's a huge renaissance for all of that right now. And, I've seen plenty of ayahuasca films, and I actually think, this trailer doesn't exactly reflect the brilliance, of this film. It's also a foreign film, right? So you have to pay attention because you're reading subtitles. But we actually chose it as our closing night film because we believe it's that strong of a message.
Oh, beautiful. All right, we have one trailer left. So I'll bring Andrew up here. Which of you want to introduce it?
So this next trailer is for The Invisible Extinction.
That's right. Anything you want to say before?
No, I'll do my commentary after.
Okay.
Bacteria have been the dominant form of life on Earth. Everything about human life depends on bacteria.
They are involved in almost everything our bodies do. But just as we are learning how important they are, our microbes are disappearing.
Asthma rates rising dramatically.
More than 2/3 of Americans are overweight or obese.
Why are so many chronic diseases increasing so fast?
I believe the hypothesis is correct, that antibiotics are contributing to the rise of all these diseases.
What's happening to our internal ecology is very similar to what's happening to our climate. We're in the middle of an extinction crisis. It's invisible, it's deadly, and it's happening in all of us right now.
Oh, wow.
Was that the actual end of the trailer? I
Yeah.
don't remember it being
Yes,
that.
yeah, it's only 1 minute long.
Yeah, I mean, I think the trailer captures a portion of the energy of the film. It is, you know, there is an urgent message within the film, right? Not a message that most people are probably familiar with. It follows these scientists, two scientists in particular, a husband and a wife team, on their quest as they travel around the world, trying to sort of make people aware of the microbe crisis that they're experiencing. And from there, we sort of introduced to 3 patients that go on 3 different journeys across the world, starting in the US, stretching all the way over to China, who are suffering from really life-threatening diseases that are the result of a microbiology loss. And these scientists are trying to use these experimental treatments in order to, you know, help these patients out. Of course, this goes on in the midst of the pandemic, so the film is a bit timely, is a bit more recent in the last few years, but it really focuses on, you know, the healing or the importance of your microbiome and how you can use microbes to help heal not only your gut, but like your body as well, and tackle these more, again, long-term, possibly fatal illnesses. And so in that sense, it's almost like it's a documentary, but you get caught up in, like, you know, what they're trying to do, and, you know, they're trying to save lives, that there is a thriller element that like really grabs you in. Again, it's another narrative tool that the filmmakers use to like grab your attention and really bring you into this world, because this is more on the scientific side. This film, it focuses a lot on microbiology. There's a lot of science to it. But again, like, everything is presented in a very digestible format for the audience. So like you clearly understand what's going on. You know, the stakes are high because you get so involved with the patients and, you know, the journey they're experiencing, and you really feel for them. So yeah, it's sort of like a thriller documentary, if you will, about like this crisis that maybe not everyone is quite aware of.
Yeah, this is a real eye-opening film. And it's really great for those who are really looking to learn something about health. And we've been talking about gut health for a little while now, right? And I feel like we're all a little bit read up on that, but even our whole team, right? We're on probiotics and prebiotics, and we don't, you know, all of that, we all still, you know, had our eyes wide because there was so much to learn here. And this documentary was on the cutting edge. What I also want to say, because I think I might have seen that trailer a long time ago and then watched the film after that, which is that this is a very solution-oriented film. You know, the trailer is used to like get us all on high alert, and then they really do present kind of a path towards, you know, what are we really going to do about it? In fact, one of the microbiologists and scientists has goes on this journey to try to find a place to safeguard our gut microbe specimens, and they want it to be in a place that's like in the middle of the North Pole, right? So that, you know, nobody can destroy it, steal it, you know, you know, and it's really fun and interesting, and something that will really help everybody in their quest for wonderful well-being and good health.
Beautiful. You know, whether it's the environment or our health, it's so important for us to think 7 generations ahead. And I just happen to notice that Destiny has brought her daughter on, and I just can't resist putting them on, because this is what it's for, right? It's for the multiple generations. And so Destiny, thank you for being with us. And thank you for, you want to introduce your daughter for a minute?
Yeah,
I can tell she's very shy.
This is Anjali. She's really enjoying that we can make ourselves invisible with this background.
Ah, okay. Yeah, the magic of Zoom. Well, it's good to see you, Angeline. I've known you a very long time. Good to see you. Thank you. Wow. Well, one more time, I want to take people and remind people that let's all, as soon as the show's over, which is going to be in about 2 minutes, let's all go to illuminatefilmfestival.com, illuminatefilmfestival.com, and let's all buy our tickets. If you can't come to Sedona, get the virtual pass, only $45. So what you do is you go to 2022 Festival. That's one way to get in there, and get your passes. And here's, click buy passes. That takes you right there. Get your all access pass if you can come to Sedona. And if you're coming to Sedona, let me know. I'll organize something special. I'll organize a time for us to all get together that doesn't conflict with the events that they're doing. Or for most of you that are not going to be in Sedona, come on, you can all afford $45, every one of you can. So get that virtual pass and let's all drop in together and watch these incredible shows together. And then what I'll do is next 2 weeks from now, I'll actually dedicate one of our shows to talking about the Illuminate Film Festival. Like, what do we see? What do we experience? What was it like for us? So we'll have a whole kind of follow-up, okay? And also a reminder that definitely you don't want to miss, in collaboration, this really special event on November 7th that I'm really excited to be hosting with these, some of our absolute favorite people. Oh, but we don't have Bruce Lipton yet. Maybe let's try. We got to get Bruce now, right? No, it's going to be really great. So thank you, Danette and Andrew. I know you guys have so much going on. So I really appreciate that you took 3 hours out of your lives at this incredibly busy time to be with us on the show.
You know what, Scott? We were so meant to be here because, it's really easy when you have this major festival coming up to get lost in your spreadsheets and logistics. And, we just got to revel in our program and be with our audience, which actually that makes us so happy. That's the reason why we do this. And just, thank you for inviting us onto this show. I feel like all of a sudden I am so ready for this festival. It's in 6 days, right? Because you have just brought back in the energy of light and love and well-being and health and, connectedness. And so what you're doing is brilliant. And I'm just so glad to be a partner of yours.
Oh, thank you. And I'm glad that it gave you like that, oh yeah, this is why we're doing it, right?
Yeah.
I ran a professional theater company for 12 years. We were a touring company and we toured high schools and colleges doing shows on social themes. And we had an office of about 6 administrators. And I made a point once a week, we would all go and see one of our shows in the schools to remember why we're doing it. Because it's the same thing. You get so lost in the computer and the desk and the work and the phones, and you got to remember this is why we're doing this. So I just flashed back to that memory when you shared that. So now I trust that it was a good use of your time.
100%.
All right. And we're going to be hugging each other in just a few days.
Yeah.
So
Can't wait.
Looking forward to seeing you next weekend. Everybody, thank you so much. Hope to see you tomorrow morning on our Sacred Sunday show with Oscar Miro. I got to read it to say it properly. Oscar, who's great, talking about shamanic, and Sophia Amargi, who you all met last night. Everybody really enjoyed her, is coming back on. So we're going to have a really beautiful show. And of course, Omashar will be with us playing some music. So take care, everybody. I'm going to go to gallery view so everybody can wave goodbye. I always enjoy seeing everybody one last time. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for those of you who danced. And those of you who don't have your cameras on, we still love you as well. Thanks a lot. And also a big thank you to everybody watching on Facebook and the people watching this on YouTube, God knows in the future, because I see lots and lots of people watch us on YouTube down the line. So take care, everybody. Have a wonderful evening and good night.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Thank you.